We are doing these town halls about 2 times a month, and November and December are going to be a bit different with the holidays coming. And so tonight we don't have a specific topic in addition to COVID. So I'm going to provide a bit of an update on COVID and then a few other items. And then we'll open it up for questions or for any sort of comments if you want to hear about any other sort of city areas. I do have my leadership team on the Zoom tonight, so we can answer a variety of questions if you have them. And so let's go ahead and first start out and talk about COVID and where we're at in our county. On October the 5th, the health officer in our county, Dr. Sarah Cody, issued a revised risk reduction order. And the order basically is an order for once we go into the next tier. So it will go into effect when we move into the orange tier. We're currently in the red tier. Under the revised order, all businesses in the county will be allowed to operate so long as the state order allows them to operate. And thankfully, this now includes indoor dining as well as indoor gatherings. So the county, in their communications and in their press conferences, reminded the community that just because an activity is allowed doesn't mean it's safe. And so they continue to urge community members to be cautious, to stay home when possible, to minimize interaction with anyone outside of their household, to continue to maintain social distance, to wear a face covering, and move activities outdoor when possible. And so in this revised risk reduction order, they wanted to have greater consistency and uniformity with what the state allows in its orange tier framework. And so unless they indicate otherwise, everything that's allowed by the state's orange tier is allowed in the county, but there are a few exceptions. And so within the county, a few things. So this will apply that outdoor gatherings can be allowed up to 200 people and indoor gatherings up to 25% of capacity or 100 people, whichever is fewer. Indoor dining is up to 25% capacity or 100 people or whichever is fewer. Now, the state allows 50% capacity for both dining as well, indoor dining as well as gatherings, but our county has decided to reduce that to 25% capacity. And they're going to be updating their website for additional information and frequently asked questions soon. Now, this will be applicable as soon as next week. So on Tuesday, we'll find out if we've qualified long enough to be in the orange tier. And if that's the case, the following day, indoor dining will be allowed with all of the mandates, as well as indoor gatherings. I wanted to give just some numbers from their dashboard. And these numbers are as of, mostly as of the weekend. Over the last 7 days, the health department had announced 24 new deaths among individuals with COVID, and that brought the number of total deaths to 330 in Santa Clara County. Total cases in Santa Clara County have reached 21,605, and our 7-day rolling average of new cases currently stands at 109 cases. And based on the most recent 7 days with full testing data, there has been an average of 6,660 tests, and that's performed each day with an average positivity rate of 1.9%, so just under 2%. As of last Friday, there were 82 hospitalizations due to COVID-19, an additional 15 that were hospitalized patients that were under investigation. And then of these hospitalizations, 33 were in the ICU. The current share of hospital beds with COVID-19 in our county, COVID-19 positive or suspected, was 3.59%, and that went down from the prior week of 4.26%. All of these details and updated numbers can be found on the county's dashboard that's available on their website. The other thing that was rolled out in our state relates to equity, and we're still trying to understand, how it's going to apply. So far, we hear that it's not going to impact our numbers in the county, but areas, if there's certain pockets in counties that are significantly higher as far as positivity rates those counties might not be able to move through the tiers as quickly as they would otherwise if they have those pockets with higher numbers. But the county did report over the weekend that they don't believe that that's going to impact us right now. I wanted to mention a little bit about testing, and they continue to push testing, and they've put an order out there to other hospital systems about testing to make sure that it's as easy as possible for people to get tested. And so you do not have to have any symptoms to get tested. And they still recommend that workers that are with the public and in contact with people get tested at least monthly, if not more often. And we offer testing in conjunction with the county twice a month. And so our next testing date is next Tuesday, and that's October 13th. And there are appointments available from 9 to 4:30. And those are done at our council chamber. They've really streamlined the process. It's pretty simplified to go on to make an appointment. And then once you get to the chamber, they move you through the process pretty quick. It's not the invasive test that many experienced at the beginning. So it's not too bad. And you can go to sccfreetest.org to make an appointment. And so once again, twice a month at our council chamber. But if you want something more often than that, the best place in the county really is the county fairgrounds, because they have many appointments available each day. And once again, it's free. You know, they do ask for insurance information, so they'll try to bill if insurance does exist. The other thing I wanted to mention is they're also still really recommending and doing a PR push for people to get flu shots this year. Some thought, well, maybe a flu shot's not necessary because of all the safety precautions, but they are urging people get your flu shots this year. They don't want the flu cases to negatively impact the hospitals. So free shots are available throughout the county, and you can get them for free. And they're also doing them at the county fairground. And for these, no appointment is required. And so you can check the county public health website for more information. I wanted to just briefly mention on schools, Morgan Hill Unified School District, their board decided that they would not return to in-person learning until after December. So at the beginning of January would be the earliest that our schools, our public schools, would be opening in Morgan Hill. Wanted to briefly change this topic right now and mention the census. The census deadline at this point looks like it has been extended to October 31st. Morgan Hill has done well in our counting, and we worked with the county. We received a grant to do our best in helping the hard to reach areas. And so we've been working on that over the last several months. And so we'll continue to be working on that and pushing out information. And so just spread the word to fill out the census. It only takes a few minutes, and it does equate for dollars in our county. As far as the election goes, I wanted to make a little announcement on that. There's 26 days until the election, and residents should have received their vote by mail ballots. If you haven't already, probably today or tomorrow, you should have received your ballot. And on our website, we have a lot of information about the election, about all the places where you can go drop your ballot, where you can actually physically go and vote. And so I want to encourage you to do that and to get out there and vote by November the 3rd. And my last announcement today before we move into Q&A is related to some of the work that you're seeing in town. And we do have an overpass that's going to be closed tomorrow, as well as the following day, October 10th, between 7 in the morning and 6 at night. And so that's the East Main Avenue overpass closure. And so you're going to see the road closure, detour signs, and flagmen will be placed to direct traffic. And we're really trying to work with our contractor to minimize the impact for our residents and businesses. And so we just ask for people to travel safely through that area. And so now with that, I wanted to see if anyone has any questions or if there are specific topics that our attendees would like to have addressed this evening. And so if you are calling in from your phone and you can't raise your virtual hand, you can do *9 and that will raise your hand. And so you could do it that way. We also have the Q&A and the chat feature. And so you can use either one of those to write something, whether it's a question or a comment that we can go ahead and read. And so with that, I just ask that you raise your hand if you so desire. And while we're waiting for our attendees to ask any questions, teammates, leadership team, are there any announcements that you may have that you might want to share with the group?
Yes, I just thought of this. Tomorrow we'll be closing our survey on our communications during the fire. So if you have not yet responded to the survey, please do so. We really take your input seriously in relation to planning for the future and understanding better how people did receive information during the fire, specifically the people who had to be evacuated and who were in the evacuation warning area. But we would really like to hear from as many people as possible. We're about at 1,000 responses right now, which is very good, but certainly there's a lot more people in our community than that. So if you have a chance, please do so this evening as we'll close it tomorrow.
Thank you, Maureen. Edith.
I just wanted to share with the community that we started Sidewalk Saturdays. This is a pop-up retail market to support retailers that are not allowed to be, say, at the farmer's market or may have lost their space and they want to show their wares and continue to sell and promote. So on Saturdays, from 10 to 2 p.m. on 3rd Street between Depot and Monterey or the Plaza, we're going to have retailers selling. So come and join us.
Great. Thank you, Edith. We do have our first question from an anonymous attendee. Have there been any issues with people not getting their ballots or tampering like that? So I know that this is a concern. I think that we're going to, and I think I'm aware of one so far where there's been a duplicate ballot. And the county is going to be very diligent in making sure that only one ballot per person is submitted and goes forward in the record. Dawn or Michelle, would you have anything to add to that right now?
I only know this from seeing social media posts, but I know many people are just getting their ballots this week. I have not checked my mail yet today, but as of yesterday, I hadn't gotten mine yet. But my understanding is that they're expected to be received. We should expect to receive them sometime this week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Another question related, also anonymous, any concerns with social unrest as the election gets closer? I think that this might be sort of a global concern. I'm not aware, or I should say we're not aware of any specific concerns in Morgan Hill as it relates to social unrest as it relates to the election. Chief, anything you'd add there?
I would add that we are in constant contact with our local law enforcement agencies from the federal level all the way down to the county level. And we get regular briefings from the feds, and there has been no threats identified to the city of Morgan Hill.
Thank you, Chief. Questions, comments? One thing that I'll mention while we're waiting is you probably saw a communication come out from us over the weekend related to fire districts. And we followed that communication up, letting you know that the Board of Supervisors decided to not do anything with South Santa Clara County. Sort of in a quick summary, there was a recommendation before the Board of Supervisors to look at doing consolidations within the county of fire districts and looking at dissolving some of the fire districts that exist. And as it impacts us, there is the South Santa Clara County Fire Protection District, and that serves the unincorporated pieces of Gilroy and Morgan Hill and San Martin. And CAL FIRE operates that. Similarly, CAL FIRE does the fire operations for the city. And effectively, we've had a great relationship with Gilroy, City of Gilroy Fire, as well as with the district through CAL FIRE. And we have a boundary drop agreement, which basically says whichever agency is closest to the fire will respond. And so in a nutshell, the Board of Supervisors decided not to move forward at this time and to embark on a study, which we were very thankful for, so that more collaboration could happen before a consolidation is looked at. We have a caller, Terry Williams. I think, Michelle, have you unmuted Terry?
Just did right now.
Okay, Terry.
Hi.
Hi.
You went very fast. Where am I? Why am I getting a double echo? All right, doesn't matter. You went very fast over where to get an appointment for the COVID test.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the website or
Yeah.
where we can get it in the
Yep.
from the office.
Absolutely. So Michelle, if you could put it in the chat box, but I'm going to also just announce it again. So the best place to go for testing is to go to sccfreetest.org. So it's the S is for Santa Clara County. So sccfreetest.org. And you go in there and you can select what date you're sort of interested in looking at and location. And so we do it twice a week in Morgan Hill at the council chamber. But what I had mentioned was that at the county fairground, they do drive-through testing. And it's, I think, almost every day. I know they do Saturdays. I'm not sure about Sundays. And so you can basically get an appointment the next day. And once again, the testing is free. It does take just a couple minutes to go through the questions. They will ask for insurance information, but it's not required. Terry, does that answer your question?
Very well.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Christina,
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, you may not have noticed, you said we do it twice a week. We do it twice a month.
Sorry, twice a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so appreciate that, Leslie. So our next one is going to be this coming Tuesday. And so that is October the 12th, the 13th. And then we will do it again on October the 27th. So twice a month, and that's going to be the same in November. So the dates are the 10th and the 24th. And then in December, the dates are going to be the 8th and the 22nd. And that's in partnership with Santa Clara County. And results come back anywhere between 1 and 3 days. And they can email results and they can also text results. All right, so I have a question from Kristen. Can one only vote in the district one lives? Yes, okay, so that is the case. And so right now we have 2 districts for council seats that are up. And so you have to live in the district for that seat to vote for that seat, basically. And the same holds true for the school district seats. And I believe I just saw another question. Nick, thanking Edith and her team for introducing Sidewalk Saturdays. Yes, absolutely. Last Saturday was already a hit. Check that out, right by the farmer's market. Okay. So Kristen was just asking if it would be from Morgan Hill. Yeah. And that applies to other cities as well for districting. Okay. Other questions or comments? We have Kathy Sullivan. We can unmute Kathy. All right, Kathy, you can go ahead and unmute.
Hi, it's actually Brian. Kathy had to take a phone call. I apologize. I just wanted to thank you, City Manager, for putting on a great presentation. Appreciate the information. And I want to give a shout out to our police department. They have been doing a fantastic job on code enforcement for speeders going through town. There's been a number of instances where I've been out downtown and people are coming through at high rates of speed and also revving up their engines. And I know for a fact that the motorcycle police have done a great job in issuing citations, trying to slow people down so we don't have accidents. I know at one time that we were sitting in Ladera a couple weeks ago and somebody was trying to cross the street. They started to walk out and almost got hit. So it was very fortunate that they were able to stop themselves and the car did miss them. But thank you very much. And thank you to the city and the city people for your service. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Kathy we said hello. Edith remarks, thanking Nick, and we have 11 vendors this weekend. That's great. And I was 5 or 6 last weekend, Edith? Okay, 5. Good, that's great. It's around town, that's great. Chris, do you want to just say a couple words about our pavement project?
Yeah, sure, Christina. Exciting project. So I think people have seen that the Tennant Avenue's got the most work done so far, which you've seen the overlay of asphalt on Tennant that's gone from Vineyard east to 101. Major work over the last 3 days occurred on Roble and Encino Drive in the southwest part of town. This is the first major work of this type that we've done in the city in decades. It's cold in place recycling that they're doing. So people will see the big machine recycling and chomping up the existing pavement and putting it back down. We've had a lot of questions on, oh, is that how it's going to look as the end result? That's not how it's going to look. They still have a couple inch overlay of asphalt to put on top of what they've done on those streets right now. And you could tell that the gutters are, the concrete on the edges is a couple inches off. So that work's going to happen next week. And then we have slurry work that's also scheduled to happen next week on Dunn Avenue, which people have seen that there was some grinding work there. So the slurry seal will be happening there. So that's our exciting news for the pavement project coming up.
Thank you, Chris. Looking back at the questions, there was a question related to the fire districts. And Lori, can you please share a bit on what the county was trying to accomplish with the proposal to change the fire district? Yeah. So the concept of consolidation has been a topic over the last several years, you know, in looking at there being several different fire districts, the benefit to consolidating in the county. And so it was brought up at a committee meeting, and it was a referral to staff of the county to then bring it to the Board of Supervisors. And it quickly went from let's look at consolidation to let's look at dissolution of the fire districts, both Santa Clara County Fire District as well as the Los Altos Hills Fire District. And I think what the county was sort of thinking was that perhaps, you know, and I think that the county also thought, you know, that there's major fire issues, you know, let's look at consolidation, you know, perhaps, you know, getting rid of the lines of the district would help. And unfortunately, there just wasn't any analysis, operational and legal analysis, fiscal analysis. You know, what would it mean to do away with the district? What would it mean for the district's relationship with CAL FIRE? County Fire right now is not set up to for wildland fires of the scope that the district does. And so I think the county is just trying to figure out, you know, how to make things better, which myself, you know, the county fire chief, CAL FIRE fire chief, we all want to do what's better and what protects our citizens better. But I think you'll hear from us that we believe that the district is doing an excellent job, and we're doing a great job in collaborating with both Gilroy as well as with the district. And we're continuing to look at how to do things better. We had a study done called the Standards of Coverage, and you know, we'll continue to sort of do that. Hopefully that answers your question, Lori. I think we have a couple other questions. One was from Kristen. Since the Shoe Palace is a reality, is there any landscaping plan for that building all around, mostly toward the freeway? Landscaping is absolutely part of the plan for that. There will be trees that will go directly in front of that building that will help they'll be right in front of the building to help with that. Jennifer, do you want to add anything about the trees or the landscaping that's planned?
No, you said it perfectly. There's a robust landscape plan. The plans are available on the website on the project page for Shoe Palace, and you can take a look and see what the eventual trees will look like from the freeway.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Christina, I'd like to add that there's a berm being installed. It's partially installed now, but there's a berm as well as trees going along the freeway.
Thank you, Leslie. Okay, any other questions, comments? Don't see any others in the Q&A or the chat. You have a whole leadership team here. Any question that you might have? Otherwise, we'll go ahead and wrap up early. And our next looks like Maureen just put in, okay, great. Maureen put in the chat the project page for the Shoe Palace expansion. And so you can go there and find all sorts of details about the project, and similar pages exist for our other significant development projects. Thank you, Maureen. All right, well, I don't want to keep anybody from their evening, so thank you for joining us. Please join us again in 2 weeks for our next town hall. And we do have a council meeting on the 21st, that day before. And I do see one last question. I logged on late. Was the rise of homeless encampments? Let's see here, I just lost it. Bear with me for a second. Michelle, can you go ahead and read the question for me?
Yeah, it says, is the rise in homeless encampments going to be addressed?
Okay. Yes. Okay, so we have a few people on here that might want to help answer that. I'll just start out by just saying in Morgan Hill, we really have a really good balanced approach. We have a housing team as well as a police team to one, sort of help out with resources that are available, and at the same time balancing that, you know, with people's property rights and so forth. And so I think I'm going to first turn it over to Leslie to say a few words. Our Assistant City Manager for Development Services, and our Police Chief might want to add a few words.
Right. So, yeah, I'd like to start by just following up with on Christina's comment about the balanced approach that we have. So our mission with homeless, or folks who are currently experiencing homeless that happen to be in our community, is to try to connect them to services whenever possible. So we link with the county and county mental health services. And our first mission is to identify and make sure that we register all of the folks who are experiencing difficulties right now into the county's social service system. We work with case managers, but mostly outreach workers who are trained professionals, and they then can determine whether or not folks are eligible for certain services, certain housing, also decide and help the individuals determine if there are things that they would also like to access, whether it be medical care or you know, other kinds of perhaps sheltering. So we begin there and make sure that we get everybody that we can registered into the county system. In particular, the county uses this system for ranking folks and helping them get into available affordable housing when it becomes available. So we start there. And we team up with the police department and with Public Works. And we try to balance the fact that there are private property rights as well as public property rights and procedures. And we work with private property owners as well as on city public property to kind of manage those encampments so that we don't have trash, we don't have issues around public safety, for example, that impact the neighborhoods. And ultimately, we hope to get individuals moved into sheltering of some kind. Shane, I didn't know if there was anything else from the police department's point of view that you might want to mention.
Yeah, thank you, Leslie. We also have a safe parking program that we'll refer people to in this city limits that are living out of their cars. And we also have workers, caseworkers meet with them at that location and have a very high success rate in placing them in jobs or housing. Currently, we are looking for one of the people that we've referred to the county services for housing. His name came up, and we'll be locating him shortly. And then officers, we have a homeless liaison team of officers that will go out and collect some of the information and pass it on to the county. And they will post no trespassing signs where there's illegal encampments, and provide make sure that the caseworkers go and contact them prior to us going back out there and cleaning up the hazardous condition that exists in some cases. And currently, it is my belief, and I verified this with our patrol captain, that our homeless encampments are down. So if you are aware of homeless encampments that are currently popping up, or if you see a number of them which cause you to believe that they're on the rise, I encourage you to give us a call, because from our perspective, they are down right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
And one last thing, I'm sorry. And when I say we're down, I'm talking maybe one or two that we know of in the city. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Okay, that concludes our evening. Good night, everyone.